It's been a long journey. It's 2007, and I go to a bar with a girlfriend. I was determined not to drink. And by the time I left at 1:30 in the morning, I am so drunk. And I'm driving, and I'm going home to a town that's like 30 minutes away, and I end up off the road, hitting a tree, airbag going off, and totaled my husband's brand new black 750 series BMW. And there's the police waiting to take me to county jail. It was horrible. My husband is so sick of my shit, and he lets me find my own way home. And as I'm walking along the hot California road, shoeless, it hits me. I finally look like what I've imagined an alcoholic to look like. Homeless, shoeless, unshowered, and still in my Friday night clothes. But still, I did not get sober. Between January 30th of 2006 and July 18th of 2010, I made many attempts at getting sober. My road to sobriety began when my husband gave me an ultimatum. I will not stay married to a drunk, he said. We were on vacation in Lake Tahoe. So when we got home, I entered my first outpatient treatment program. It was January 30th, 2006, and I drank before it was even completed. I couldn't stay sober, I just couldn't. I'm an Irish girl. I was born in a convent. My first mothers were nuns. They wore habits and rosary beads. I was adopted when I was 8 weeks old, and my birth name, it's Mahoney. And I come from a long line of alcoholics. My adoptive parents were great, but my dad, he was also an Irishman, was an alcoholic. Our family moved so many times. We lived in Venezuela, Minnesota, Virginia, California, Indonesia. I went to like 14 or 15 different schools because my father kept needing to change jobs. It wasn't until much later that I realized it was probably because of his drinking. He died of the disease at 58. When I was 60, my birth family found me through 23andMe. I knew my birth mother was deceased, but my entire life, I thought if I could only see a picture of her. When I found out she was dead, I thought, if I could just visit her grave. After connecting with my birth family, I went to see my 90-year-old aunt. She was living in the same town where my mother was born, raised, and is buried. My aunt had lovingly gathered all my mom's things, some bracelets, her ring, and then it happens. She hands me a photo of my mom. I start sobbing when I see it. "Oh, honey, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" my Aunt Marge says. Aunt Marge, she was an alcoholic. "Oh, no, honey, no. Your mom wasn't an alcoholic." "Aunt Marge, you can see it. It's right there in her face." My mom's death certificate revealed organ failure from alcoholism as her cause of death. And her sister Nellie, her liver blew out from alcoholism. Her brother only got sober a few years before he passed. Alcoholism is a disease, and I inherited the genes. And it helped me to understand that. The worst time of my life was 2009 into 2010. My husband had lost his job. We had to downsize massively, and I drank my way through it, morning till night. I went to work with alcohol in my iced tea. I tried an AA meeting, and after it, I went over to the liquor store. I bought 6 little bottles of Grey Goose. I poured them into my Starbucks lemonade, and I had a party in my car all by myself. Friends, family, they staged an intervention and committed me to an inpatient treatment center. I checked myself out the next day. Well, then the hammer came down. My husband told me I could not come home. I was finally ready to admit that I couldn't live my life without a drink ending up in my hands. I might go 30 days, I might go 90 days, but a drink would always end up in my hands. I had to find a solution. I didn't want to check myself into another treatment center because I didn't need any more education or knowledge about the disease. I also needed to keep my job. It was the last piece of my identity that I felt good about. I had remained on top of my professional life the entire time I drank. So on July 18th, 2010, I moved into a sober living house and stayed 80 days. I've never had another drink in my life since, and that was 12 years ago. Sober living saved my life. It also saved my marriage. It's where I began to come home to myself and I set myself free. In 2018, my higher power tapped me on the shoulder to open a sober living house for women. I founded Ohana House, and I knew I was working on something much bigger than me. Ohana means family. No one left behind. Today, Ohana Recovery Residence is a place for 25 women to call home. More importantly, it's a place for women to come home, a place to come home to themselves.